Right, I've managed to get Lou straight out of the pro shop. It's not the best of days, he's a bit blustery, but it's perfect conditions for the video that I want Lewis to explain how you execute a shot, which I find particularly interesting and useful, but I'm not really sure how you're supposed to do it. Right, the perfect spot to start things from 150 yards out, because what we're going to do in today's video, I'm going to look at sort of maybe a chip shot in and around the green, maybe 20 to 30 yards out, 150 out, and then maybe from the tee. And what I'm looking for from you is to educate me and our viewers into how you sort of control ball flight. And it's been particularly prevalent when you play obviously windy conditions, which we can get on the links.
That's where it's come from, isn't it? It's just a bit windy, a bit colder up here. And I've been flighting some stuff down and people have noticed, and we just thought we'd do something and try and help people. Well,
it's something again that's come from the members forum that we've got in terms of requests that have been made. So Lou was starting off 150 in. What would be, so first of all, club selection, what would you normally play for just a normal shot into this green?
On a day like today, it'd probably just be a full 8 iron. Full 8 iron, yeah.
Will you change club for the flighted down?
Maybe a little 7. Depends. It's a bit cold today, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I definitely will be hitting 7. So I'll flight down with 7.
So first of all, in terms of flighting down, you change the loft of your club in to go to a stronger lofted club.
Yeah, definitely.
That's the first thing.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
We'll change camera position, and then you can talk to me next about ball position and everything else that it is.
Yeah.
In terms of how you're going to execute the shot.
Perfect.
Great control. So first of all, great execution, straight out the box, first shot of the day. Flight was lower, swing seemed nice and controlled. Yeah. Tell me what you do then, Lou, in terms of...
Yeah, there's a couple of different things. You know, this is sort of it's a pretty stock shot, isn't it? You know, in terms of like a 150 yard from the fairway, but we're trying to manipulate something. So the things that I've got to change really, I want to present a little bit less loft with the club. So, like I say, I was in between 8 and 7. I've clearly gone for 7. But even then, I'm thinking about, I'm just going to pop the ball a little bit back in my stance. I'm not going to really do too much with my weight distribution. I'm just going to keep it the same. Pop the ball back in the stance, leave the hands where they are to create a little bit more shaft lean at address.
So when you say the hands where they are, so
the hands where they would normally be, but I'm going to pop the ball and the club back.
So therefore got you.
You're going to create a little bit more sort of shaft lean that way. And then obviously, I'm going to hope you noticed it is, the more speed through the shot, in fact, it's going to create a little bit more sort of ball speed and generally a little bit more spin, backspin. So backspin really, if the ball's trying to sort of spin that way against the resistance of the air, you know, we're trying to knock it down because the wind's coming that way, it's going to create lift, and we don't want that, do we? Okay. So I'm trying to take, obviously because I've de-lofted it as well, the club, I can then take a little bit more speed out of the shot, which is going to help just keep that flight down and keep that spin rate down quite a bit. It's something I see quite a bit when people trying to hit the shot. That's the one element. They get the first bit right, and the second bit, when they add the speed in, and then the ball goes like that and sort of...
Well, I think it's true again of every sort of average amateur golfer is the minute you stand on a tee and the wind is blowing a hoolie against you, often you'll try a little bit harder in terms of swinging harder, and it has the adverse effect on what it is you're trying to do. So I get that completely. And then what I noticed was it's kind of like nothing else changing in terms of the whole tempo through the swing. There's nothing else in terms of...
you know me, I try and keep it nice and simple. I think if you try and change too much, I think... here there was a little bit of right to left breeze. Yeah. So if anyone noticed, you know, when I was hitting it, I was sort of a little bit this way. I was just trying to start it a little bit right, and then let the wind just drop it back. But try and keep it sort of nice and simple. The big key is good contact. You know, good contact.
That's the other question I was going to ask you. Sorry again. And there's no sort of downward blowing, sort of like again your iron strike position. Is that kind of?
Yeah. So with a normal iron strike, it's a descending blow. Yeah. And then it's going to be a slightly more descending blow with where it's
hands
got
forward and everything. Ball position.
But that's what we're trying to achieve is we're trying to present a little bit less loft to keep that flight down. So not an actively, you know, more downward hit. Definitely not, because again, that way
it'll just automatically do that based on where the ball position is and that sort of lean that you've already created.
Yeah.
I like that, Lou, and I got that completely. So that's the first position, that's a mid-iron. We'll just step onto the next tee box, I think, and I'd like to see a similar sort of concept with driver in hand, if that's possible.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Right, so next up is, like I said, it's from the tee, and it's with driver, and it's not a shot that I don't mind an iron shot. I can sort of do that, I think. Driver off and trying to flight it down.
Yeah, the concept of driver is going to be a bit alien for some people, and it's quite a tough shot, this, but if we go for it, people can try it, can't they?
Okay, no.
Yeah.
So Lou, the first thing for me that would mess with my head a little bit is that we've changed the ball position with the iron.
Yeah.
With driver, everybody would hit towards the front foot. So first of all, does ball position change is the first question I've got for you.
Yeah.
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 Same principle?
Yeah, so we don't want to... There'll be conflicting things about this, I just have to say, like,
okay.
This is how I would teach it, this is how I would do it, and hopefully I can do a pretty good demo in a minute. You can hit down on driver.
Yeah.
You can.
Yeah.
You know, some of the best players in the world, they hit down on their driver,
yeah.
even though off tight tee and from. I always like to feel as though I'm hitting up on driver.
Yeah.
And even with this shot, when we're trying to flight it down,
yeah.
I am still trying to hit, sort of with a positive angle of attack, sort of a sweeping blow, if you like.
Okay.
What I'm trying to do is like we did with the irons, where naturally it's a descending blow. We're trying to decrease the loft at impact, so dynamic loft, if anyone uses TrackMan, and that's what we're trying to do here. Is I'm moving the ball position back, but I'm still trying to get an ascending blow, but with just quite considerably less loft.
Okay.
And that's really the key with this shot, and what makes it so difficult is, the shaft lean that I talked about, the forward shaft lean is quite difficult with driver. That's why we move it back. So we're going to ball slightly back of where you normally play it,
yeah.
and we're going to try and feel as though our hands are ahead, and what that's going to do is just sort of decrease the loft and try and get the loft as low as we can, because ultimately we can hit this with quite low loft.
Yeah.
We're not going to change the tee height.
I was going to ask you that.
Yeah.
No,
so
I'm
not changing the tee height.
Okay.
No, because if you do, if you have it off the high tee, and again, what I always find with driving now is, spin rate's the key. If your spin rate gets too high, it's just going to go up.
Balloon.
You won't get low launch with high spin. We just don't see that. So, trying to keep the spin rate down, keep the launch down.
Is the same again principle about the sort of tempo and speed of swing, or you
I will swing a little bit easier. And am I doing it for anything more than I'm trying to control my movements?
Yeah.
Because I know how important. If I can get these movements right, I can really hit the shot I want to do. And things like ball speed and distance is really irrelevant. Is you're going to get the distance on the ground if you do the shot
you get
right.
that ball flight right.
Your carry's going to come down, but your total distance should be way up. So
do you want to tee one up?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this.
And then let's see. This is a great hole for me, because I think, I'm not sure what the prevailing wind is, but every time I stand on this tee, this always seems to be coming into a little.
It's par 4.
And it's also a long par 4.
It always is.
See how you go. First of all, Lou, that's a super shot in terms of that ball flight, everything we intended it to be. You've got to be happy with that, haven't you?
Good demo, that one. Yeah, happy with that.
So basically, I mean, I've recorded you at the side there as well. Hopefully we can pick up what you explain in a sort of slow motion. But that shaft lean, from where I'm looking, you can see that again. Ball position slightly less forward than what we'd normally do, let's say, with driver. Great explanation. Again, I'm going to have a little go at that before we go as well, because I'd love to be able to execute that.
I'm really trying to think. It's quite a tough shot, that.
Yeah.
It is. But I think that what I would say is, ball position back, but still sort of, don't move the tee height. We're trying to sweep it off the tee and get them hands sort of.
Well, I want to give that a go.
It's going to feel a bit like a drag to you.
Okay, I'm going to tee one up and give that a go, and then I want to move to round by the green, maybe sort of, like I said, 30, 40 yards out, which can be a real awkward position, especially when the wind is blowing, and I just want to see if we've got sort of similar principles to execute that shot as well.
Cool. Bullet.
Well, I'll tell you what, Lou.
You could throw a blanket over them.
You can see again, though, seen the that bounding on down the fairway as well, which was...
Yeah, so we're going to lose a little bit of carry, but we're never going to know, are we?
No, that's...
And the idea is we've given you a technique where it's still your swing, isn't it? Something different's happening clearly.
What you feel like, just for me anyway, you do feel like you're hitting a ball a lot earlier in the downswing than you would normally, obviously, because that ball position was the most alien bit, but clearly... It's something you need to practice, but it works.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad you did that.
I know,
it's a tough shot.
I didn't expect that.
Yeah, I did.
Yes, let's start with that bit. So I've told him we're about 30 yards out.
58.
We're 58, so only 28 yards out there, but what I'm looking for from this kind of position, we've got a bit of wind in two. I'll tell you what, the question is down to you viewers out there, and I want some honest answers in the comment section below. You're 58 yards out, what club are you reaching for in the bag? Because my guess is a lot are automatically going to go for a high lofted wedge.
Yeah.
Now, I'm thinking that they shouldn't be doing that personally, with nothing in the way, no obstacles and whatever else. First of all, what would you be playing from here, and then how do we possibly look to flight it down a little bit into the wind?
I've got 9-iron.
Okay.
I've got 9-iron. I think I like. So normally I would just play a lob wedge, but we're wind into, we're trying to flight it down and stuff. I wouldn't keep the same club and change my technique. You know, I wouldn't be going for that sort of ball back. I'd be trying to keep my technique the same.
Okay.
And just naturally just de-loft it a little bit. So
this is all about, so what you're saying is it's all about taking loft off the club rather than manipulating your swing.
Yeah, it feels like I'm doing something different here.
Yeah.
When I'm trying to manipulate flight around the green, I will choose another club, you know, all the time. Rather to manipulate what I'm trying to do up or down, rather than manipulate technique. I always try and keep my technique the same, keep the strike good.
But it's interesting for those of you who haven't seen an earlier video that we did with Lewis about chipping and simplifying chipping. I think it's also important to know that you would play this shot in a, I don't say a different way, but you play it in the same way.
It's very uniform how I play it.
You do?
Yeah.
So let's go through that first of all.
So just sort of, just neutral weight distribution, so no weight left side, no way, and just ball middle of the stance. Yeah. You know, just ball middle of the stance, set the club as you know, this club's designed to be used in a certain way, just use it that way. Just keep the strike nice and clean. So I think that's go and watch that previous video. It's a little bit to it, but I think it's simplicity.
I would go and watch that video, seriously, and since that video I have changed the way in which I execute my chip shots, honestly, because I would have been one of those players that have watched or listened to people and I'm leaning forward, I'm leaning backwards, I'm changing the ball position, depending on the club that I've got in my hand. And since that video I again have gone very much in a uniformed way of centre of stance, sort of around your body type of swing, and the only thing I've changed is the loft on the club. So let's see again, let's see you execute that. So far so good. Let's see if we can go 3 from 3 and demonstrate that shot. So I can see from my side at least anyway, interested to see where that ball position is. Not too wide of a stance you ever take either, Lou, I've noticed that.
No, and then just nice and simple. And we're just going to run it up.
Yeah. Superb.
Right with that, aren't we?
Very good.
And that's why I'm trying to keep it simple. And all them other things we're talking about in terms of weight forward, ball back and stuff, I appreciate. They would, in this instance, into the breeze, help a little bit. But the amount of amateurs I play with that miss-hit their chip shots must be so frustrating. So that's why we do it like this.
Well, I think one thing, like I said, it's almost going off on a tangent, but one thing from that particular lesson in terms of the chipping, it's about, as average golfers, not wasting shots, which we do all the hard graft. You get in and around the green, and the short game is so unreliable that you start duffing one a yard, then another yard, and you think, you know, well, this is such a simplistic way of eliminating those wasted shots. Anyway, really enjoyed that. Personally, I think I'd like to hear more from you in terms of what you'd like to see from Lewis out here on the course. But for me, I like, if I play golf with Lou, it's often good to watch what these golfers do in terms of professional golfers and try and take elements from their game and get them into your own. But often what we don't really do is understand fully what they are doing. So for me to see that explained today in today's video, it's been really informative for me. I won't probably try the chip shot, but certainly seeing the iron into the green and the driver that I hit really was very different than what I would normally do. So thanks again, Lou.
Brilliant.
Thanks to everyone that watched. Like I said, get your comments down below and let me know what else you'd like to see in terms of lessons from Lou. That's a title for a series right there.
I love it.
Right, thanks for watching. I'll see you tomorrow night.